Welcome back. Here's where you left off. Spoilers ahead for chapters 1 through 17 of Time Risk 2 by Elyse Douglas. So Time Risk Book 2, the second book in the series by Elyse Douglas. I was pretty excited for these first few chapters, Leonard, but I only have one question for you. For all of these chapters and all the complexity, one question, or even our listeners. Does anyone listening really believe that she's not actually going to go on the Titanic?
If I'm in her shoes, I'll be first one in line to get into Titanic. Even just like walking into the deck, it's like, yeah, I've done it. Then walk back out. You know, because it was the first 17 chapters. There was so much information. There's so much detail. There's so much nuance about the story already, right? And they even touched what happened from the first book when she went back to World War II.
I had to listen to it twice, man. I had to listen to it twice just to gather all the information. There was so much density in there.
Yeah, so it was really nice to see it, to read it, because there were things that she was best way to describe this is she was promised to fix her issues as well, to her missing sister. And when this new book came out, book 2, her sister's there now. Everything is hunky-dory in her family, right? But she always says that there's always this thing that I know things more than anybody else. I experience things that we changed from the past that the present did not experience. You know what I mean? So there's some parts of that actually happened during the first 17 chapters.
She's worried about going away and changing history. Okay, I don't know if she's going to go on the Titanic here, but for the love of God, she has to, based on these 17 chapters. I mean, even meeting Amon while she went out on a run, to him talking about, look at my notes, Michael, I have to look at my notes. To meet Michael, who apparently died on the Titanic, who was his ancestor, his great uncle or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
great grandfather. Anyway, so I'm thinking that's just a straight up, since he died on the Titanic, she has to go on the Titanic for some reason, right? And they say in the book that Grace and the governess does not use the ticket. So history says they didn't get on. And so you think that she doesn't. I mean, I don't buy it for 2 ways to Sunday. I don't care what they say. I don't buy it. But
that's actually confuses me, and not confuses me, but intrigues me. You're right though, because they said that the two people that she's supposed to save didn't go on board the ship. That's when my brain literally went out to the left field on this one. I was like, okay, if she doesn't go to if her and her governess did not board the Titanic, there's something else happening here. What is it? Is the Titanic just a precursor of something bigger than the Titanic sinking, or is it a misdirection of like, we changed our names before we come on board because we don't want to be notified, we don't want to be noticed, or something like that. It's just one of those things that kind of like, okay, you're using the current information that is supposed to be on board the Titanic, but at the same time they're not sure if they actually board it. Right? There's police
if we're believing what they
stuff.
say, the evidence says the tickets were never used. They were purchased but never used. So from the historical perspective, they didn't get on the ship, man.
They don't have barcodes or freaking RFID tags, so they're not really sure they went on board. They can probably just give it to someone else's. Hey,
yeah, but
you know.
But to be clear, there were good record keeping back then, and the Titanic is one of the most reviewed historical events in history, and combed through by all kinds of people. So there's not a lot that we don't necessarily know. Like, we know how many people were rescued. We know how many people were in the lifeboats. We know who went back. We know who was in what boat, because as they were coming on board, the rescue ships, they were like, so we have lots of information. So it would make sense for them not to put her on the Titanic, but obviously I don't believe that's going to happen one way to seven. But the interesting thing is Catherine, like the motivation of these people to go back in time, and her employer, Rachel's employer, basically he walks around to his rich guys and is like, hey man, want to go back in time? Want to go see Elvis?
They need to pay the program. I understand all that. It is a business after all, Derek. And the time machine needs to be paid.
I mean, there's a lot of information here that's going on. It's like, you want to go back in time. But my question is Catherine's motivations for wanting to bring Grace back. So why does she want to bring her back?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. It's like her motivation is very kind of, in my opinion, kind of suspect.
Okay, well, let's go through the genealogy here. I did write some of it down because it was really complicated. So Catherine is related by birth to both by Henry's line and the Renford family's line by birth. So she's related to both of them. Catherine is, who is the woman having Rachel go back in time. So somewhere in the past, Henry, who is Grace's father, had an affair with another woman who died in childbirth, who was a Renford, who died in childbirth, right? So then if Henry makes up his will and he says, make sure that Grace is taken care of and so forth before she goes to get on the Titanic. So everybody's sort of aware of what's going on here, right? About that. But then apparently Catherine's Edith is her governess. Edith Brown is her governess, who is with Grace, and they go and they disappear. So Rachel is very suspicious of this. She's like, why did they disappear? Why didn't the detectives back then find these two? They could have been killed. They could have been ransomed. They could have been whatever. But if that was the case, both Henry and the Renfords, who the Renfords know that this is a child of their family, are they trying to get rid of her? Like, what is the deal here with these families? So there's this like secret thing where they're trying to send her off to the States to Henry's sister, I think. Yes, his sister. I didn't write down her name though. Sending her off to the sister. So Grace is a distant cousin of Catherine. I think I got the genealogy right there. Does that make sense to you? So a lot of complications going on here.
It's very complicated. You're right. It's a very complicated family tree in this. At the end of the day, the motivation is I want to bring her to the future because she is more in line with her. If I remember correctly.
Is that really? I mean, that's okay. She does say that she wants to bring her to the future, but I don't think that's the reason. I feel like Grace's journal might have pages missing or something like that. Like,
it's selective journaling. It's like, I'm going to release pages, but based on what I want you to know. You're right because she asked for, hey, can I see the whole journal? Right, her diary, and they said no, you're not going to read them all. I'm going to give you just the expert, give you several pages. That for me, if I'm going back to the past, I'll be like, WTF? I need to see everything. This is ridiculous, right? And I'm with you though, because I'm having trouble and I haven't seen any path or I'm just having trouble seeing why she needs to go to the future. The excuse that she used is is I want her. I'm more aligned to her than anyone else. I want her to survive. I think there's.
I agree. Why?
Why? Exactly.
Why?
The why part hasn't been answered. It's just a very vague thing. It's like, hey, I want to go to the mall. Why do you want to go to the mall? Because I want to see something.
Well, I mean,
You know?
think of it this way: if Grace is kidnapped and killed for ransom, like see, she gets kidnapped, and they're like, "Oh, pay us a ransom," and whoever Henry or somebody doesn't pay it, and they kill them. Okay, bringing her out of 1912 makes sense because there's no impact to the timeline. But if Grace, for whatever reason, just ran away, or they did go to the States, but they went on a different liner and they never told anyone or something, then you're affecting history then. Because Grace had interactions with people and she probably had kids and probably whatever, blah, blah, blah. There's all this time fluctuation stuff, which Rachel has encountered. She knows about this because she's experienced it with her sister coming back. Right? So she knows any changes she makes could have profound impact on the future. So when Catherine's like, I just kind of want you to bring her back, I am kind of astonished Rachel's first reaction is, are you freaking kidding me? You don't even know what happened to her. You have no idea what happened to her, and you want me to bring her back? You find her journal? Like, what happened? Like, she was kidnapped, and the guys were just like, oh, I'll just leave it in the drawer here, and it shows up 100 years later or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like there's something we're missing here. There's like a piece of the journal or a piece of information we are missing.
Exactly. It's like I think the only way you can figure out is if you keep reading this. I think that's the only thing. But I do want to talk to you about a couple of things as well too. One of them is the one is the quantum whatever. It's supposed to track the variance between the original history versus the modified history, and that was embedded under her skin, right? And when I read that part, I'm like, so you're gonna have this thing supposed to say to Rachel, hey, the history that you're in right now, it's still aligned to the current history, but as soon as you change something, it will tell you how misaligned it is into the real present versus the alternative aligned to the current history to the altered history that whatever you affect, right? And on top of that too, Rachel even says, so the time beeper, is it smaller or better? No, we can't do that because it's still too big. I'm like, you have two different technology, and you can't figure out how to miniaturize the beeper. Yeah, so it's kind of like two type of technology just doesn't make any. I don't know. I feel like they kept the time beeper because it's some type of the nostalgic of having an original iPod size. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean it's an interesting concept. How is that any use to her whatsoever? I mean,
exactly.
Oh, look, I just stepped on a bug. I've changed the future. It's not like she can time travel back 10 seconds and not step on the bug. I mean, so what is the use of it?
Exactly.
They don't really explain that. I feel like it's more like for them to track what's happening in the future, perhaps. But
I think for her to track whatever changes that she does. But the thing is, she didn't have that in the first time when she went back to Hawaii, right, in 1939, and she never had that. Or 1940 something, 41, 42. She never had that going back then. Now she has it here. So what kind of information can she can use with this piece of technology? It just doesn't make any sense to me yet. So it doesn't make any sense reading it. I don't know where this type of information going to go forward. Right, but for the beeper one, it's kind of interesting because here's the thing that I read this several times just to make sure I understand this correctly. I'm still having trouble understanding. Maybe you can give me a hand on this one. The time beeper. She goes back to the past, and after she goes back to the past, they're gonna bury a time beeper in a graveyard, and it's gonna go to the past. Did I read that correctly, or am I not reading it correctly?
Yeah. I think it's a backup. It's a backup plan in case there's a problem to ensure that she has a way home.
Okay, I understand. That's fine.
Yeah.
But they said something too, though. They said that they can't send this back right now until Rachel goes to the past.
Yes, because okay, so they have to send it to the same. Now we'll use the word timeline that she's in, right? So they send her back, and there's if you look at multiple timelines here, and what am I friggin' Neil deGrasse Tyson here?
You're definitely not. I'm letting you right now. You are not.
So it's like, so you could go back and. You could go into multiple different dimensions, right? That are the same timeline, but in just slightly different, right? So they need to identify where she's at and send it to that exact,
Okay, I got you.
timeline, which makes sense to me. I mean,
it makes sense.
Right.
I just want to make sure that I understand that correctly. And
I had to read it a second time as well, but it does make sense. Now, here's the thing. It's like, did you send it back because... Like, why would you not be able to send 2-time things back with her yourself? Because I don't know if Grace needs to physically have one along with her to bring her back, or if it's just a field that's created where they hug or something, they both go for it. I'm not too sure. You know what I mean? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, you made a good point, though. You made a very, very valid point there. If Rachel's going back to the past and going to the same graveyard, why not just bring 2 and bury one underground, and one bring it with her? You know what I mean? It's like there's a reason, because I remember part of the I can't remember which chapter, they said that they went to the graveyard in the present to find out exactly where to go, exactly where to place it, and they already said, we're going to bring you back to the past at the graveyard because there's less people here. Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. No issues there. But I think if I remember this correctly, they said they don't want to bring it back to the past just in case you get caught burying something.
Yeah, it's a backup plan.
It's
a regardless if you lose because that was always the biggest concern. Because remember, she had to. I think this is a reaction to what happened in the first time jump, because she had to bury it because she was too worried about somebody finding it on her. And so they not having a backup plan or the ability to have some other mechanism, but the also reason they put it in the grave is that no one's going to find it. So no one in the past is going to find it because it's already a grave. It's a grave that already exists in the future. So she can go and dig it up, and no one's going to go dig up that grave, right? So they know that the grave is undisturbed in the future. So when they send it back in the past for the next 100 years or whatever, no one's going to disturb it. It will sit there. They can walk over tomorrow and dig it up if they want, right? So it makes sense to put it in a graveyard, as sad as that is to say, because it's a place they know will exist in 1912. That makes sense from temple mechanics.
Yes, I understand all that. It's just right now nothing makes any sense because I don't know why you just bring it with her.
I think I think the argument is a backup plan.
I understand the whole thing about the backup plan. I have no problem. It's like telling to you, Derek, hey, I need you to go to London right now, okay? But when you get to London, I'm gonna send you you bring your toiletries, right? You go to London with your toiletries. Oh, by the time you get there, I'm gonna send you a bag of toiletries as a backup. I'm gonna send you through courier. Why don't you just bring it with you? That's the thing I'm having trouble understanding.
In case you lose it.
You're
just
not
say she shows up in the graveyard. She shows up in the graveyard and somebody grabs her, a cop does or whatever, and like they take the thing from her. Well, she has a problem then. She needs to have another time.
Yeah, but what is remember, they already said it several times. You're going back to the past at the graveyard with no contact because no one's going to be there. It's too dark. Right? I understand the chances for her getting caught the first time she gets back there. It's so rare that it just doesn't make any sense. I am just saying this. It just does not make any sense when you just bring it with her because they never provide the exact reason why, and the reason why they gave you it's kind of weird. I don't know. It's just me. I'm just thinking out loud.
I mean, if the argument comes down later on in the book where she needs each of them need their own individual time jump thing, then our question is answered. I don't know. Maybe that's what will happen later on when she tries to bring Grace back. They have to go run and dig up the grave. That would sort of logically to me be the reason that the writer's done it at this point.
I understand.
Again,
I agree. If you need 2 pagers to bring them back for both Rachel and Grace, makes sense. No problems. The hugging thing makes sense too. I still don't understand why they just bring both of Rachel just bring both of them. That's just me.
So let me ask you this. Let's move back to. Would you have any other questions? Because I have other questions.
No. I did my rant already for this
right,
episode.
So the genealogy here is strange. We have the Richardsons and the Renforths. Henry goes and has an affair with a Renforth woman. I cannot remember her name. I don't think I wrote it down. She dies in childbirth. Grace is born. They take Grace. Henry raises her, and his wife raises her. But everybody knows the truth, that it's not really her daughter specifically. At least the two families know. So the motivation here for her to send her off to America is probably twofold: to, sort of, as I say, get her experience the world. But at the same time, we don't know what happened to them, right? So is this, in those times, having a child out of wedlock and illegitimate children and all this was just, not, it's bad, it's socially not good. So is this a plot by the Renforths to get rid of her or to get her out of the way or something? Like these are the major questions I have. Do you have other questions about like what's happening here?
Yeah, I was in the same boat as you too. Is there a reason why she needs to disappear? I think the underlying question is why does she need to move to the why does she have to move to America? That's the first question I should ask. The second question is, if she disappeared before she board the ship, was she kidnapped? If she did, if is the purpose of her getting kidnapped or the purpose for her is to disappear with her governess to get away from this? The third question is the governess actually involved or trying to kidnap her for ransom? So there's 3 things that I want asked.
Yeah, no, definitely.
To be asked.
And, I mean, you could make the argument that they bought tickets on the Titanic under different names and went on the Titanic under those names. You know what I mean? And then they died on the Titanic or something like that. I mean, obviously that doesn't seem like the most cool writing style to find out, But I mean, it's a plausible scenario. Put it this way: I don't believe there's any way we're not getting on the Titanic in this book. There's just no way. Well, I just don't buy it.
Here's the thing, though. Derek, here's the thing. You actually you did mention it though. If if Grace and the governess ending up buying a ticket to go to board Titanic in a different name. Remember, part of the they already said that the cost of getting a ticket in the Titanic, even the lower class one, is so expensive that it's just expensive, right? And that scenario is sort of kind of like, it is plausible, but if they have the money, it is. But if they don't have the money, they can't afford it. Right, and if Grace is well popular or a very well known daughter of a very influential family, she can get recognized pretty fast, right?
Yeah, I thought of that too. Yeah. I mean, but in the day, what we're saying about here, actually, you and I think that way. But in those days, they did not. Like, you might know the person's name, but you wouldn't know their face, right? So you could get by in those times by just claiming to be somebody else, right? I mean, forgery was a lot easier back then, They didn't have picture IDs, that sort of stuff, right? So, yes, you traveled on your name, but you could just lie and say, do what Rose did on the Titanic, like just change her name when she's on the rescue ship, like...
Yeah, no, I agree. She can change her name pretty easily. Titanic. Yeah, she can change their name pretty easily. That's not a problem. We're talking about. You're right. You don't have social media. They don't have TVs, and they don't have colored. No, they do have photos. They can print photos out pretty easily, right? So if you're part of if you're part of society, everyone knows everyone, right? And for them to just disappear like that, that's a lack of if they do disappear without being noticed, this means their family did not provide a proper didn't bring them out socially, right? But if they are very socially like if Rachel goes back to the past and notice that Grace is very out there, very well known, right? If she disappears, everyone knows she disappears. If she shows up with a different name, they're like, no, that's not right. You're actually Grace. You're not Lisa. You know what I mean? So it's there's a lot of questions that needs to be answered. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Rachel keeps on asking the questions while she's talking to Catherine. Like, could it be they got on and they just didn't know? Did they get kidnapped? I mean, as you said, is the nanny involved in some kind of whatever? Because they sort of mention that she was not reputable, or I don't know if that's the right word, that she had associated with irreputable people or something like that. The nanny did. So there is some question there. And I think from a book perspective, doing the whole ransom thing kind of makes more sense, because it would go wrong and then they would be killed, and that's where the mystery comes from. Like, that would sort of make sense. But also getting on the Titanic and just dying on there. I mean, there are plenty of people that from the Titanic, they don't exactly know what happened to them per se. Like, there's, like, this person was last seen doing this, and she has that conversation with Eamon on the wharf to basically talk about Michael, who was on the Titanic saving people, and that's the family rumor, right? But they never found the body, So whenever they say they don't find a body and we have a time traveler, I'm like, I don't know.
Rachel's going to find out what happened to that person, right?
That's why I said she has to be on. Does anyone believe she's not going to be on the Titanic? I mean, seriously, I just don't see how. I think she's traveling back to a couple days before they get on the Titanic, and they disappear.
Originally, yeah. Based on, she should go back to based on a few days before they're supposed to be boarding the ship.
And she'll have enough money with her that she could buy a ticket if she needed to. She could do that.
Yeah, she can. I'm always amazed since book one and how they actually, if she needs money, that was the first thing out of my mind. Is like, how is she gonna bring money? How is she gonna get currency just in case she needs it? And the way they're doing it, bringing diamonds back and how much it's gonna cost back then. And the research regarding monetary is actually well done. Like, since book one, we never talked about this in book one. I want to talk about this now because the way they handled what happened is she stuck there longer. She can use this. She can use diamonds. She can live for a year without any issues. Those kind of information was amazing. I keep forgetting to mention this in book one. That they use diamonds, they use coins, they use gold or whatever so she can exchange it for cash. And in my opinion, that's just fantastic. It's a great way to do that. And I think
it is. But here's my question. What got me? You're right. And it got me thinking about this. So, how much is he charging Catherine to do this? Because her fee, Rachel's fee, is like $6 million to get paid. Then there's like being able to live for an entire year in the past with diamonds and whatever else, coins or whatever, plus the power needed to power the time machine to send her back, and all the logistics involved with that. Like, what is the bill for this? Like, to Catherine?
I think we're looking at like 50, 100 million to do this.
I don't know, man, but it's at least 10 or so. I mean,
it's more than 10. If Rachel's getting paid $6 million, you have operating costs and all that good stuff, and people still need to get paid. We're looking at maybe 50 million, low end 50. Plus profit.
It's okay. We're not in Bezos money yet.
They need to pay overhead. They need to pay the vending machine guy. It's definitely 50 mil above. Remember, they're moving to Mexico. Just remember that, or Latin America, because they're getting harassed by the government, aka you know what I'm talking about. So I think they're moving to they're moving to South America so they get less red tape. So it's 50 mil.
Okay, so going off track.
50 mil.
So what's your prediction for the next episode here? What do you think is going to happen here?
That's actually a good question, to be honest with you, because every time you do an episode, we always ask that question. And this is the first time, if you ask me this question, I can actually honestly say, I don't know. I'll tell you what I want to see. But prediction-wise, I don't know, because there's so many unanswered questions the way chapter 17 ended. So what personally I want to see is I want to see how Rachel react when she meets Grace. I want to see Grace to be the opposite of what we're thinking. I'm seeing her as not a quiet person. I want to see her like a socialite, like Paris Hilton socialite. We're talking about like high end. She's out there partying and all that stuff, and she's being taken away because she's tarnishing the name. That's what I want to see. I want to see Rachel's face. I just want to see Rachel slapping her in the face and say, "Grow up." That's what I want to see. How about you?
That's a good point. I was sort of leaning more towards because there were so many hints being dropped about her thinking it was some form of kidnapping or whatever. I'm thinking most likely logically it'd be sort of down that vein, but yours is very interesting. I do like that theory. I do like that. I think that I agree with you. I think that Grace hopefully will be something a little different. I do believe, I'm going to say they're going to get on the Titanic. It has to happen because, they just keep on talking about it. Plus, Eamon's discussion with her seems very prophetic about, what's going to happen in the book. So that's my prediction here. Join us next time as we review chapters 18 through 42 of Time Risk 2 by Elyse Douglas. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share a review. We love to hear from you. Send us an email at yourbookmarksinfo@gmail.com. Join us again right here where you left off.